tomorrow. Joining us now is one of the candidates for that open Senate seat in next year's election, Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff of California. I guess we'll start there as we watch this transition. If you'd like to say a few words on Dianne Feinstein's legacy.
Well, the word that so comes to mind for me when I think of Dianne Feinstein is giant. She was a giant of a legislator, giant policymaker in the world that I worked in for so many years in the intelligence field. She was also a giant, and she was courageous. Whether she took on the CIA or took on the NRA, she wouldn't back down from a fight. Always impeccably prepared. You would go into her office and to discuss an issue in your own district, and she would know it better than you did. And for me personally, she was also a mentor and a friend. So it's a big personal loss. But it's hard to really point to anyone in the Senate who has had such a tremendous impact on the nation and certainly profound impact on all Californians, and so much for the better.
And the senator's funeral will be held later this week. Congressman, you had a busy weekend, you and your colleagues in the House of Representatives. Tell us, with this deal struck to keep the government open for now, first, give us your level of surprise that McCarthy switched tactics on Saturday morning and suddenly reached across out and try to broker a deal with Democrats to keep the lights on. But where do we go from here, both in terms of Ukraine funding, which is conspicuously missing from this agreement, but also whether you think Kevin McCarthy can hold on to his speakership?
Well, you can always count on Kevin McCarthy to do the right thing after he's tried everything else. And I think this is where we were on Saturday. He had tried putting us through this drill of bringing up these meaningless bills just to placate the right wing of his conference. He had tried initiating an impeachment proceeding, thinking that that would, bring him the support of the crazy right wing of this conference. None of it was working. And on Saturday, as we were coming closer and closer to a shutdown, he decided, OK, maybe now it's time to actually do something right and do something in a bipartisan way. The Senate had a bill that would have passed in the House overwhelmingly, but he wouldn't bring that up. So he brought this up. And the principal difference was the exclusion of Ukraine funding, as you say, and that is deeply problematic. We're going to be working hard to restore that funding. We need to support Ukraine and help that country defend itself against the Russian invaders. I think there'll either be a standalone bill or they'll be part of the new resolution. And of course, the bill we passed on Saturday just kicks the can down the road for 45 days. And so we're going to have to go through this drill all over again. We need a Congress that is functional. And with Donald Trump as the leader of that party and Kevin McCarthy as the leader of the House, it is completely dysfunctional. I don't know what happens to McCarthy's speakership, but frankly, the problem he's having is we don't trust him. He broke his word with the president over the debt ceiling deal. His own conference doesn't trust him. He doesn't seem to stand for anything except the desire to hold on to that gavel. Ultimately, we'll see whether he survives.
And you mentioned this impeachment inquiry that he commissioned seemingly as a olive branch to the far right, and that didn't work as they're still threatening his job. The hearing, though, the first hearing of that inquiry last week was roundly derided, frankly, by most other Republicans as well, for not getting their message across. What's your assessment of that? But where do you see that going? Because as much as that hearing went off the rails, they're signaling they're not going to stop.
It's another train wreck. Just as the government shutdown was predictable, this is also a predictable train wreck. They don't have any evidence of any high crimes or misdemeanors committed by the president. They don't even have any evidence of any low crimes or anything else. But they're barreling ahead, nonetheless, to placate their crazies. But once you put the train on that tracks, it becomes very difficult to stop. And so where does it end? Does it end with them bringing up an impeachment vote that fails? Or does it end up bringing up an impeachment vote based on nothing, which they're forced to support because they've got Trump, bashing them if they don't? This is the kind of chaos the House is in. And the tragedy is, many of us, like myself, are working to find housing for people who are homeless and deal with the housing unaffordability and inflation and the fentanyl crisis and all the things that we need to do to deliver for the American people. This is the heart of my Senate campaign, but it's also the heart of our work in Congress. But instead, we're engaged in this bogus proceeding, and we're shutting down the government or coming to the brink every 45 days. It's just a tragedy and a self-inflicted wound for the country.
Congressman, can I broaden this out a little bit more on Ukraine? Over the weekend, we've seen in Europe a member of the European Union, Slovakia, give a majority of its votes in parliamentary elections to a party that is pro-Russian. And looking at what is happening there and whether that is some kind of warning sign for other countries and leaderships, and looking at what is happening in the Republican Party here, do you think we just haven't done a good enough job of explaining to populations on both sides of the Atlantic why it is important to carry on supporting the Ukrainians in their military effort? I mean, it just seems clear that the Republican Party no longer believes that Ukraine is a priority.
Well, we're going to have to do a much better job making the case. Now, Slovakia has always been kind of on the bubble. They've always had a very strong pro-Russian party. Robert Fico has been around. I spent 6 months in Slovakia back in the early 90s, and he was an emerging, very pro-Russian leader at that time. But the reality is, as the war drags on, we have to continue and more vigorously make the case for why, if Russia is successful in Ukraine, then you're going to see other nations remaking the map using military force. We see Azerbaijan engaged in a brutal war against Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh, threatening Armenia itself, no doubt encouraged by the muted reaction by some or the waning support by what we see of Republicans in Congress. And the distraction of the war in Ukraine as far as Russia is concerned. So it is inherently destabilizing the longer that this goes on. And if Russia were to be successful, I think it also could have dominoes in terms of what China thinks in Taiwan. Is it now emboldened? So the stakes are enormously high, and we need to make sure that we're making the case and making it as effectively as possible.
Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff of California, thank you very much for being on this morning.